Hey guys, Drifter here. Did you know that Black Ops Cold War has its own secret Battle Royale hidden under the Fireteam modes? Well, I didn't either, but that's what I'm playing today, and I genuinely had a lot of fun with it. It might be very casual, it might be a little bit unpolished, but it's a lovely change of pace from Warzone. You can thank Covent for the idea. I popped by his stream the other day and I saw him streaming Treyarch Secret Battle Royale or something like that under a kind of clickbaity title that this YouTube video emulates, but it caught my attention. I popped in, I watched him, he seemed to be having a ton of fun, so I had to try it, and I'm glad that I tried it. Of note, edit his profile picture because it had some lewd stuff up there that would get me demonetized. And on that same note of monetization, if you're still doing Battle Pass or microtransactions or whatever, you can use my CoD Creator code DRIFTOR in the Call of Duty store. That's all caps. I don't know why. O is a 0, and that does make this video technically sponsored by Activision. So let's talk about what I'm playing here. It's under the Fireteam section, which for those of you that have played Black Ops Cold War, you know that it launched with these 40-player maps for Fireteam Dirty Bomb, for multi-team, for like Fireteam Hardpoint, Zombies Outbreak, and these really big maps that we initially thought would be a Battle Royale or part of the Battle Royale that would launch with Black Ops Cold War, but sadly it never turned into very much. Multi-team was very fun when it first came out because it was new, but then very rapidly became unfun post-launch because people just would land on you with fresh loadouts all the time and there's no reason to really do anything. The full loadout landings just got kind of brutal, though it was consistently fun for XP farming and maybe like going for clips on occasion. However, sneaky Treyarch decided to add a new mode to this called Fireteam Elimination, and that's what I'm playing today. If you want to play this very thing, you can go check out Fireteam Elimination. Like the others, it is a 40-player mode. However, each player gets 5 revive tickets up to a certain point in which they turn the revives off, kind of like when the gulag closes. So you have quite a lot of lives early game, but then none for the last couple of circles. Last team standing or the first to exfil wins. So you can win by hiding, you can win by absolutely slaughtering everybody and burning through their revive tickets. By doing this, you'll probably use a few of your own, so you do have to survive. Or you can get on the rescue helicopter that shows up and exfil out and just leave everybody behind to die in the gas. However, if your whole squad dies at once, no more redeploy, so it's kind of like rebirth in that aspect of it. And should you choose to exfil, it puts a big warning on the screen for enemy players and your teammates and basically the entire map, and it takes about 8 seconds or so everybody can see you getting on the helicopter. It's a very dangerous thing to do, but if you do that, you win the game instantly. Only one person on your team needs to do it as well, so you can cover them. There are no loadouts whatsoever, so unlike Fireteam Dirty Bomb, you do not get to load in with your custom classes. It is all ground loot or bust. Every single thing in this mode you have to pick up from the ground. Sometimes you start with a pistol, and other times you start with an SMG like a Bullfrog or Milano, but we'll talk about that later. And radioactive gas will slowly squeeze in from the sides of the map and just kind of all over and just generally push you toward the end zone before the chopper shows up. All of this reminds me a lot of Alcatraz and Rebirth, which isn't surprising because those modes were spearheaded by Treyarch. And if that's not Battle Royale, then I don't know what is, except this mode isn't technically a Battle Royale. This mode feels like a preview of the Battle Royale that Treyarch wanted to make, but Papa Activision said absolutely not because Warzone's doing good, Warzone is popular, we already have Blackout, we can't have 3 Call of Duty Battle Royales, we need to funnel our players into one place. So Treyarch probably put a lot of work into this and developed these maps, or at least part of them, and then Activision was like, no, you're gonna have to do something different with it, which is why they came up with the Fireteam Dirty Bomb modes, and also why it's kind of unfinished. So if you play this mode, you will notice right away that this is not a finished product. There are big areas of the map that need polish. There's graphical elements, frame rate elements, movement elements, gameplay elements, some stuff that's just outright missing. And it kind of reminds me a lot of a really promising early access BR game where you can see the fundamental ideas, but doesn't have a lot of polish. And I kind of get the idea that somebody at Treyarch just slapped this together and slid it in under the radar with a totally different name. So now that we've kind of talked about how it feels, I want to talk about what's good about it and then a little bit of what's bad about it so you can make up your mind on if this is worth playing or not. The good list is very long. I've got 13 items on this, and instead of going through it like a countdown, I'm just going to kind of go through it in no particular order. And the very first thing that's great about this mode is that it's very casual for now, which is kind of the opposite of Black Ops Cold War multiplayer. There's a lot of sweats in multiplayer, skill-based matchmaking is relatively strong, so if you're playing that, you need to play at a competitive level. This is very casual. Most of the enemies aren't particularly hardcore. There's no meta to this, no sweats in this, not many tryhards. It feels like normal gamers, or at least a normal sampling of gamers. Most people you run into will be pretty casual, but of course near the end only the sweats are left, and that's kind of how any battle royale should be. Next is that you always drop in with something lethal. There's no dropping in with, fist. There's no dropping in with Glocks or 1911s. You drop in with a Diamatti, which deals plenty of damage to kill people in 1 or 2 bursts, plus a melee, or a submachine gun of sometimes. Sometimes it's an AK, sometimes it's a Milano, sometimes it's a Bullfrog. The ground loot is almost always better than this, but you get some kind of fully automatic weapon so you're combat ready. It's very easy to get combat ready by looting because there's crates and chests and stuff everywhere, and it drops pretty decent guns most of the time. Plates as well. You can carry 10 plates by picking up the armor satchel, which is an actual godsend over Warzone. Even with the satchel we have now, I just burn through plates really fast. On that topic of plates, you can replate really fast. Like I can go back to full health a lot faster than Warzone, and instead of putting in one plate at a time, like if a butterfly lands on it and just leaves a little stain, I have to throw that whole plate away and put a new one in if it took like 1 point of damage. This one works more like Apex batteries. If you have a half plate damaged and you put one in, you now have 1.5 plates of armor, so that's kind of a godsend too. The maps are very bright and colorful. Treyarch has always been good about this from Blackout all the way to now. I really like playing on Sanatorium and Dolga, or the big map with the array, because the colors are really bright and it's really easy for me to spot enemies, especially since I'm colorblind. And it's almost the exact opposite of Warzone, where I'm playing like Where's Waldo and trying to find the rose skins in the corner. People aren't going to be able to hide from you very easily in this Battle Royale. Sniping is very satisfying. Snipers are kind of like super weapons. I think every sniper rifle has the potential to one-hit kill as long as you shoot somebody in the head, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But sniping is really fun, and since it's loot only, it's really rare. So if you have a sniper rifle, you're in a good position to absolutely pop people. The very worst, you can pop them and just chew through the rest of them with your submachine gun if they're rushing you or something. Despite only having 40 players in the game, you're gonna get a lot of kills because everybody's got 5 redeploys. So you can really rack up your kills. I think on my first serious play session, I came out with 17 kills, not even trying that hard, just moving along and playing the game normally. I believe if we got like a really sweaty squad together, we could probably crank out almost 100 kills in this mode. Speaking of kills, let's talk about revives. Revives and self-revives are very fast. It's kind of like that mode, like that Counter-Strike bank robbery thing that we had in Black Ops 4. When people go down, you can pick them up really quickly. If you have a self-res, it only takes like 2 seconds, which you would think is kind of annoying. You would think it's kind of a bad thing, but the pace of this game is relatively fast and people die relatively fast. It's very easy to BM, so it does fit the pace of the game really well. The next good thing is that Treyarch weapons are being properly implemented. Instead of just randomly importing them into Warzone with weird animations and stats that don't make any sense and continual nerfs and buffs to make them fit the meta of the game, well, they're all doing what they're supposed to do according to Treyarch and their balance in this game mode. And no, they don't perform like Warzone weapons, but I think the overall balance is probably better. The vehicles available in these multi-team maps are really fun, and they're a good change of pace from snowmobiles to like old Russian cars. They had the motorcycle a long time before Verdansk did. And they have jet skis, which you don't really get to do on Verdansk or anything else because you can't swim. On that note, you can swim in this. You can fight under the water, jump off the bridge, swim from island to island, which is really cool, and I kind of missed that from Blackout. Another huge thing that's really great, I probably should have put this one first, to be honest, is that the audio is great. The audio is just so much better than Blackout's audio, especially for footsteps. It's kind of like okay for gunfire. Gunfire is not the most complicated thing, and it's intentionally vague, like the further enemies are away. But for footsteps, I could hear people running, walking, busting windows, doors. I knew if they were above me, below me. The footstep audio in this is just downright superior to whatever in the world is going on in Warzone, or at least that was my initial take of it. If I played it for, 9 months and got frustrated because I kept getting cheesed by dead silence, I might have a different opinion, but I kind of enjoyed the audio aspect too. So lots to enjoy. However, there's almost as many bad things, including a couple of really bad things I'm going to talk about at the end. The first bad thing is that the time to kill can be surprisingly fast and unpredictable. You would think with that Treyarch armor, which is effectively one of the score streaks that you get in the game and makes you very tanky in multiplayer, that you would not die so quickly in this, but you can absolutely get shreked unexpectedly. You'll feel like a tank. Sometimes enemies eat bullets. The damage that weapons do are kind of like reduced per shot when you're wearing the armor, so the rounding and scaling isn't exactly in your favor a lot of times. You have to be more careful, and when you get downed, you can get BM'd super quickly. You take less bullets there than you do in Warzone. And one of the reasons that you can go down so fast or unpredictably fast is because it's using the baby vest armor for multiplayer, which offers no protection for your head. If you headshot people, it goes straight through the armor. It does nothing. That's why all the sniper rifles can kill in one shot, because it just blows your brains out. But the same is true for pistols, for SMGs, for fresh landers. If you get caught off guard, or you're playing somebody who's really good, your armor is pretty much useless. The other thing is that your health is not directly tied to your armor in either. So in Warzone, they have to break through your armor in order to damage the health. However, this game works on the Treyarch system, where the armor just mitigates the damage that occurs to your health from bullets. So if you come out of the radiation or gas and low health, even if somebody shoots you in the foot and it just hits your armor, since it's a health reduction, it'll still hit your health and you'll die quickly. Or they'll mix a headshot in there, so you'll like lose 1/3 of your health instantly, and then it's armor shots. Or if you fall and take fall damage, and a lot of little things. Swim underwater too long and you start choking, and then you come back up and take like 1 or 2 shots, you die very, very quickly. So there's an inconsistency with that, and I kind of generally prefer some aspects of the Warzone armor system, though not the speed and the plating methods. The next thing is, and this is kind of my pet peeve about Rebirth, is that there are lots of parachute boys landing on you that can be very, very hard to deal with. This is not the biggest threat because the loot they land with tends to be of much lower quality than what you have, but they are landing with fully automatics and they're landing frequently. So just like Rebirth, if you want to hold a building, the interior of a building, camp a top floor, you have to accept the fact that there might be 2 or 3 people sitting on your roof waiting for you to walk out at any given time. But if you sit on the roof, people are going to parachute in and just make callouts for their team. So that's kind of frustrating, though for whatever reason it didn't bother me in this mode as much as it does in Rebirth. There are no custom loadouts or custom weapons, so you can't use any of your camos, any of your microtransaction stuff, any of the attachments that you've unlocked, unlike the other modes. And while that's great for balance reasons, and there's been a vocal element of our community that thinks loadouts shouldn't be in Warzone because of meta or whatever, it does take out an element of fun, of customization. It feels like I've kind of stepped back about a decade in gaming and I can't use the things that I've unlocked, so that's probably not a good thing. On that same note, the mini-map for enemies is very zoomed in, so when enemies are far away, it's quite difficult to tell where they're at. I kind of wish I had more like zoom out on the mini-map, because most of the time I just get a general direction of the dots and less of a location of where my enemies are located. I use the big map a lot more than I do in Warzone, so that's kind of a minor gripe, but it just feels a little bit odd. The next thing on my list is a very big one. It's actually got like 3 subsections here. And it's all about the radiation. The radiation element is completely inferior to the gas. Firstly, because you can stay in it for a long period of time, and you slowly start collecting radiation and then damage, and it's very visually disrupting, which is good for people shooting out of it, but you can still stay in it for so dang long, especially if you have the radiation vest. But my frustration isn't necessarily that gameplay element, but rather that it comes in from an unpredictable area. It's not a circle. It's not a square. It doesn't tell you which way it's moving. It just slowly kind of puffs and wafts across your radar, very slowly populating it like something that's on fire. You don't have any idea where the radiation is going to spread to next because of the thin like PNG images they use for the puffs of smoke on your radar. You don't necessarily even know if it's heading your direction. You don't know if you're in it because the screen effects are so minor until you're like really, really deep in it. And it's so unpredictable that I find myself in the gas like all the time. My next gripe is that it seems to be kind of a singular wave that just constantly moves. It doesn't ever seem to take a break. It doesn't come in 2-minute cycles. It doesn't push you like a zone in Battle Royale. It's just a big wave of annoyance just slowly creeping all over the map that you have to avoid. But weirdly, in order to save like, I don't know, RAM or data or like system resources or whatever, the radiation doesn't load behind where it just passed. It's like a wall, it's like a cloud. So if you are parachuting in and you look down, you will see a big cloud below you, like a big streak. And on the other side of it, the further away side toward the edges of the map, it'll be perfectly clear and you might think, oh, okay, well I can just land over there because there's no gas there. No, that's still irradiated, but they only animated the front aspect of it, so if you land over there, you still die. That's not super cool. and this is just not on any schedule. I just had a lot of struggle with the radiation. It just seems like I was fighting the radiation almost as much as the enemies. And then my final gripe is going to be the biggest and most important one, which is that there are score streaks in the loot on the ground, and there are super weapons. You can get the hand cannon, which one-shots people, war machine, death machine. You can get like lethal airstreaks. You can get RCXDs. You can get UAV, counter UAV, or air support, helicopter, like so much just absolutely crazy stuff in the ground that will one-shot people that it's not fair. It's also not balanced in any capacity to just give somebody a 10-round hand cannon that instantly kills them from any range with basically no bullet drop, or radar when there's no perks to counter it. And they put all of the Treyarch equipment in the ground, including landmines, gas mines. They have like trophy systems, which makes sense, but then they also have the little portable radars. So people that camp buildings put the little portable radar thingy in there. So if you take any footsteps at all, you're on that. So I feel like the loot could be improved by significantly reducing, if not entirely removing, the score streaks and some of the goofier equipment, because while it might be fun, and I get that this is like a casual game and they want people to be able to experience those powerful things, there is no balance. And I mean like no balance to it whatsoever. So for a slightly more competitive gamer, that's frustrating. And that's all for the bad. At the end of this video, I will say that I definitely had fun with my time playing this. I found it enjoyable. I might do it again. It's going to depend very heavily on the group that I'm playing with, but I don't think that this has enough depth or polish to make it my main game. This is something that I'm just going to play around with for a couple of weeks, enjoy it, and then move on. But for now, it's lovely, and I'd encourage any of you to try it out. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.